Good morning, everybody. Who wants to do some role play?
I'd
Yeah, I'm
I'd
down.
be happy to go.
Let's go.
I
Tim, you
got
wanna
next.
Tim, you wanna go with me?
Yeah, man, I'm in. Let's send
Okay.
it.
Sure. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to expired circle?
Yeah, let's do expireds.
Okay. You want to be the seller first?
Sure.
All right. Ring ring.
Hello?
Hi, I'm looking for Tim.
Yeah, this is Tim. Who's this?
Absolutely. This is Max. I'm a local real estate agent calling about 123 Under Armour Avenue.
Uh, yeah, Max. I've been getting a lot of phone calls today.
Yeah, I believe that you're probably
Property.
pretty popular. Yeah. No, I noticed that it recently came off the market after about 36 days there, and I was curious if you had a game plan for getting it back on the market and getting it sold.
Yeah, right now we're just kind of overwhelmed with the amount of activity we've gotten over the last, day with everybody calling. So we're a little overwhelmed, but we're trying to figure it out. We're thinking probably in a couple months we'll be looking to put it back on the market.
Couple months. Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, it sounds like you're in this holding pattern. I'm looking at the community right now. It's in a fantastic area. Is there any reason that made you even put it on the market in the first place?
Well, I've got it. I guess, man, like, why is that any of your business?
Absolutely, absolutely. My intention is never to intrude. It's always just to see if there's an opportunity for me to help you with your goals. And I see it's in a great area. And I was just curious if you were making that move within the community or outside the community, because I make these calls every day and there's opportunities literally every day to align you with something that could possibly be off market.
Got it. Yeah, we're just looking to get out of this a little bit further away from the city, get a little bit more land. Man, traffic over here is just around Atlanta has just gotten to be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I can I can really sympathize with that. Being a city guy myself, I can understand that desire to move out there. I'm just curious, when you intentionally put it on the market the first time, did you have a timeline that you were hoping to already be out there?
Yeah, my wife had sent me a couple houses about 30 minutes north, and we got kind of excited about moving there, and I told her, "Hey, we've got to sell the house before we buy the next one." And unfortunately, we gave it the shot, and it didn't work out. The house didn't sell.
Shoot, shoot. That is really surprising, honestly. I mean,
I'll
that
tell you
next
this, if you have a buyer, I mean, I've been getting a lot of calls. I've been telling every agent who calls, if you have a buyer, you can definitely bring him by the property. I mean, we may be interested in just working with you as a buyer's agent.
That's excellent. And Tim, honestly, I wouldn't ever insult your intelligence. If anyone calling you had a buyer today, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But I do know this. How about this? You were moving up to that other community. Did you have your next living situation lined up already?
We were gonna wait till, this house got under contract to make an offer on one of those properties. Um, so yeah, it was really contingent. We need with interest rates where they are, we need every dollar out of this home sale to even make that a possibility.
I get that. Yeah. And I'm just curious because you mentioned your wife was sending you homes. Is she pretty excited about this move?
Yeah, she is, man. I mean, it's just one of those things I've told her, I'm excited about it too, but it comes down to dollars and cents. And, I kind of told her like, hey, let's put it up, see what happens. And, I guess we kind of figured it out. Like maybe we just have to stay where we're at.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And it sounds like, based on what you were kind enough to share with me, and I appreciate that, but keeping the home as you shop for your next one in sort of a rental situation is not an option for you guys. Is that the case?
Mhm. I guess I hadn't really thought about keeping it as a rental. Um, I've never been a landlord, so I can't say I'm really excited about keeping it as a rental, but it might be an
Understandable.
option.
No, most of the time in these situations, I do recommend a property manager just because it removes those headaches of like 2 a.m. calls because the mirror is foggy. Now it does kind of two things are kind of percolating to the surface for me. It's if you could still make this move happen and you got an acceptable offer for your current home, that sounds like something you would still be interested in, correct?
Yeah, I guess it depends on our definitions of acceptable offer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then number two is kind of if that acceptable offer were to come in and you could make this transition in the next 35 to 45 days, is that something you and your wife would still be excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'd be open to it, but I've definitely got to check with the missus, right? We got to make that decision together.
Oh, I think we're on the same page there. If I make a decision without my wife, I'm going to hear about it for the next 30 to 3 years. Yeah. So I can really sympathize with that. And honestly, we're in the area all the time. We're doing deals in that community quite frequently. May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Yeah. So what I'm considering is you're in this community and you were kind enough to share with me that you're making this move about 30 miles north. And I remember about three or four of those properties up there that were absolutely gorgeous and maybe great fits for you and your family. If you knew that you could actually get the number that would be acceptable to you, and granted, obviously it has to be acceptable to you and your wife, and make that move possible, I do think, and this is why people hire me all the time, that we could still make this a possibility for you. Is it something that, how about this? Is it in an ideal situation for like a pop by? I mean, like a 15-minute pop by to get familiar with the home a little bit more intimately. Would you and your wife be open-minded to a sit down for like 15 minutes, either tomorrow or the next day? And in an ideal situation, obviously, under the right circumstances, do you guys feel that afternoons or evenings would work better for you for this simple, non-obligatory sit down?
Oh yeah, I'm actually while we're on the phone, it looks like I'm getting another call coming in. Probably
Oh
another
yeah,
realtor trying to get in touch with me.
I'm
Uh,
sure you're going to be very popular for the next couple of days. Honestly,
yeah, what did you say your name was?
I'm Max Fights. I'm a local real estate agent, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, Max, you sound knowledgeable. I just got to be honest with you, man. Until my wife and I decide what we want to do, I just don't want to waste your time, having you come by the property, when we haven't really
Totally
made up
understandable.
our mind yet about what we're going to do.
Totally understandable. Now, my intention is never to mislead you or misguide you. It would only be to earn that opportunity with integrity. One of the things I would be proposing is when we sit down, we talk about that realistic number of what buyers and sellers are willing to pay in your marketplace, how we can capitalize, and how my team and I generally get more money than the market can bear. And if that's something you guys would be interested in, that way, whether you choose me or a different realtor or whoever, you at least have more information with sort of the background research in your hands. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I mean, if you come over for 15 minutes, I mean, what exactly are you gonna, do for us or show for us during that time?
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. Honestly, a very common question. The number one thing that we're going to talk about is exactly how we can market and position your home so that you get the most amount of money physically possible in this market. And number two, demonstrate exactly probably what went wrong the last time it was on the market. That way, when you're sitting down and making those decisions with your wife, whether it be today, tomorrow, a month from now, you at least have a game plan in place with realistic numbers that you can take that sort of dollar amount to as far as like your down payment for your next home and make those plans. Does that sound like it would be something that would be of value to you and your wife?
Yeah, I mean, if you could tell us exactly, why it didn't sell and maybe what it'll take to get it sold, I'd be interested in it. It's in the past, I got to tell you, when we've sold properties before, it was pretty cut and dry. It seemed like it was kind of done the same way for a long time. And, now with, that NAR lawsuit, we've been getting a lot of offers from people to list our house, for a much lower fee than, we had to pay in the past. So, I mean, are you willing to kind of keep with the current times and, list it for a very competitive listing fee?
That is an absolutely excellent question. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but actually the commission structure specifically on the buyer side is actually a strategy that we impose to help incentivize buyers to pay the most amount of money for your home. And that would be one of the first things we go over when we sit down, just because I know how important that is for you guys to capitalize on the most amount of money you guys can make. I mean, we're in a market where it's buyers and sellers, and we're trying to leverage this offset market where it's more of a seller's market. So we'll talk about the strategy behind that, and I guarantee you the commission is not going to be something that prevents us from working together.
Got it. Can you tell me, what your fee is if we were to hire you?
Absolutely. And again, that's a strategy that we'll impose once we sit down and have that conversation. And it's only because that is going to be something that is going to dictate sort of the position we have in the market and how competitive we can be. And very honestly, one of the things I'd like to do, because I don't want to do you a disservice, is have physical eyes on your home, because I'm sure we're all aware that with professional photography and that sort of thing, it may have been skewed 30% or more, one way or the other. So what I'd like to do is actually physically get a quick walkthrough of your home, have that sit down conversation with you, and tell you a very realistic tight range, not a pinpoint to the penny, but like a very realistic tight range in which you can expect to actually receive offers and hopefully start that bidding war. Does that sound like something that would make sense for you and your wife?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about this, marketing plan you've got, I mean, what exactly are you going to do to get my home sold, that the last person didn't?
That's very fair. And to be very candid with you, one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot you over an email with all the past clients we've helped exactly in your same situation, along with their numbers, if you'd like to reach out to them and ask how their experience was. Also within that email is going to be a marketing plan. So you can literally go through it point by point. And then when we sit down together, you can ask me specifics about exactly what attribute brings as far as how it incentivizes buyers to your home.
So I can actually call those people, your
Yeah.
past clients.
Absolutely. I make sure to make a point of making sure that they're comfortable with it, that sort of thing. And you'll see through the list. I mean, these are people from all walks of life. So you're going to get honest feedback about me, I guarantee you.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No, that
So,
works.
yeah, in an ideal situation, would late afternoon or early evenings work best for you and your wife?
Um, Probably early evening.
Early evening? Okay. Would 5:30 or would 6:30 work better for you two?
What day?
We can do, I'm looking at my calendar right now. Would tomorrow work for you?
Let's see. Tomorrow, it looks like we'll be free probably after about 5:45. But we
5:45.
we have something at 6:30, so we've only got a little bit of time.
A little bit of time. Okay. And that's going to put us in a very tight window right there. Would the following day work better for you and your wife? I just don't want, if you guys have follow-up questions, I just don't want it to run over after what I have to display makes sense.
I mean, that's 45 minutes. You said you only need 15.
I only need 15. Yep. It only takes me 15 minutes to demonstrate exactly what it takes for you and your wife to actually sell this home for the most amount of money. But if for whatever reason you'd like to have a dialogue, or maybe we'd enter into a conversation about specifics, I don't want you to feel pressed for time. If you feel comfortable with that time frame, I can totally do it in that time frame. I just don't want you guys to feel like you're getting up in the middle of a conversation, even though you want to know more.
Got it. Yeah, let's pencil it in for tomorrow, 5:45.
5:45. Okay. And just so I'm very specific, you have a hard stop at 6:30.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. That's okay. We'll make sure that we respect that timeline. And then I'm going to shoot over that email to you. What's the best email for you?
Tim at transparenthomesales.com.
Tim at transparenthomesales.com. Cool. I got it down here. I'm going to shoot you that email. My assistant or myself is probably going to call you a little bit early afternoon just to confirm that that time that we penciled in makes sense still. And then the other thing is, while I have you on the horn, I just have a few questions so that we do sit down. Our conversation is very concise and very to the point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I would drop into prequel, and the last things I'd kind of want to know is I'd want to circle back on motivation. I want to know what your numbers are for like seller's net sheet, and if there are any other decision makers beyond you and your wife.
Awesome.
Yeah, and brutal feedback is welcome here, man. So I'm still like kind of green. So that was all my accumulation of the practice so far.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, definitely could tell you practiced a lot of the objection handlers and had good responses. Um, I think one bit of feedback would be really clearly articulating what the value is that I'm going to get by meeting with you for 15 minutes. Part of Aaron's script where he talks about like, hey, I'm going to clearly show you two things. Number one is you're going to know exactly why your home didn't sell and what you're going to have to do to get it sold. And then number two, I'm going to show you a net sheet of how much you're going to actually walk away with in this transaction after we sell your home. I kind of like led you into that question, but I find like that's been a really good hook. Like if we can show that much value of how it's going to basically change somebody's life if they meet with us for 15 minutes, then that's a really good hook to get them to say yes to that appointment.
No, that makes sense.
Can
All
I mention
right.
something? I have a little bit of feedback. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but at the very beginning, when you were starting it, he mentioned that he was going to be listing it again in a few months. So I feel like the whole conversation was kind of like trying to figure out, like, oh, well, if I could provide value, would you consider making a move? But he said he was going to be considering putting it back on the market in a few months, and you didn't really follow up on asking like, what's the wait? Like, why? Or you know what I mean? Like, and then at that time, are you going to be interviewing agents, or do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could have shortened the conversation just by exploring that question a little bit more. That's
Fair.
it. And is anybody else going to practice? Because I'd be open to uh practicing. It's pretty quiet right
Can
now.
give like tiny bit of feedback on improvement, Max. Is that
I'm
okay?
all ears. Yeah, I'm all ears, brother. I just want to grow.
When he said like how much is your commission? At no point I've heard something along the lines like I'm flexible, and that usually
I'm
brings the
not.
car down. Well, if you're not, that's a different conversation.
No, I get it. I get it, brother.
So what I would say, Max, is great job on everything. You have so much natural talent, bro. It's insane. Like your voice, it communicates very well. And I think this was given to you last week as well, too, is just getting more concise with the answers. So like I almost feel like some of the answers are like if I asked you the same question again, I think that I'd probably get a slightly different answer every single time. So I think just committing to handling certain objections certain ways and then going from there, basically. So like I'll give you my response to the commission. What I typically say is I'll be like, look, that is a great question. The way that so that's a great question. So I actually don't have a set commission that I charge. I usually try to be flexible, just depending on whatever the seller's needs are. Is there a certain commission structure that you're looking for to try to see if I can accommodate to your needs? And the reason I'm saying that is not to say like, hey, I'm going to discount the commission. It's more or less to gauge where they're at and know what I'm going to need to handle at the listing presentation. So like, let's say that they say, well, Redfin's charging me 1%. I'm like, okay, now I know what I need to handle at the listing presentation. I know that Redfin is a competitor of mine. Now I know that I'm going to need to handle that. Or, hey, look, this other agent is doing it for 2%. Okay, great. You mind me asking the name of the other agent? Now maybe I could bring a track record to be able to handle that. Does that make sense? So that's
Absolutely.
the reason I handle it that way. But if people ask me, like I have a go-to response, I feel like I think with all the natural talent that you have, once you start to get more concise on some of those responses, and I could be like, hey, Max, how much commission do you charge? And just be like, bam, bam, bam. I think it's gonna obviously just make you a lot more efficient.
Understood. Yeah, that is a fatal flaw of mine, is having those canned answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing I would say is I think whenever you have a lot of natural talent, I think one of the handicaps for a lot of people is that they rely on a lot of the natural talent. If you really hone your skills, bro, you're freaking animal status, man. Like freaking like insane level of natural talent. So that would be the only
goal.
That would be the only challenge that I would have for you, because I had an agent on my team at some point where he had so much natural talent. He was and I would compare him to Vince Carter in basketball. And Vince Carter was like an insane athlete, bro, like one of the best athletes. And I compared his career to Kobe Bryant's career. Kobe Bryant had a lot less natural talent than Vince Carter, and Kobe Bryant had a much better career than Vince Carter did. Like Kobe Bryant's legendary, Vince Carter's an all-star. And Vince Carter had a lot more natural talent. So what was the difference? It was the level of commitment / level of practice, basically.
Understood. No, that is something I need to improve upon, is my hours at practice.
Awesome, bro. Good job, man. Cool. I think somebody else wanted to practice.
I do. Anybody else doesn't or does?
I can be the seller, or Max could be a seller if you want.
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't done this before, so let's just do an expired.
Totally cool.
I've gotten into probate, and I kind of need to dial in my probate script, but I'm not quite ready for that. Let's just get my toes wet.
Totally cool.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, is this Max?
Is this another realtor?
Maybe. Is this Max?
This is indeed. What can
Hi,
I do
Max.
for you?
My name's Aisha. I'm a local realtor in the area. I was just giving you a call about your property that had been on the market. And I guess that you're aware by now that the MLS is showing it's off the market.
Yeah. You're like the 100th realtor to call me today.
I totally understand. You're getting a lot of calls.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware that you had a contract with your listing agent that went expired? That's probably why you're getting a lot of calls.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just curious. Do you have a buyer for the property?
I might. I was calling to find out a little bit more information about your property and see if there is any way I could help you out.
Okay.
Are you going to be interviewing agents again for the job of getting it sold?
Honestly, we were actually like really happy with the realtor that we had. She did a really good job. I think we just, the interest rates are so high right now. I think we're probably just going to go back with her.
Okay, that totally makes sense. I hear that often. When the property was on the market, did you get a lot of showings?
Yeah, we had like 13 showings, the first 3 days, but then they kind of petered off.
Okay. And it looks here like maybe you did do a little bit of a price drop. Did that help get showings again?
We only had like 2 people come back after the showings.
Okay. If your property had sold, where were you planning on going next?
We were planning on moving a little bit further south, possibly to like the Tennessee area, because up here the winters are so brutal. So we have a little bit of family back there, and we're hoping to make it back there probably before the holidays. But now that seems a little like unrealistic.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer. I love Tennessee. Did you have a realtor down there that you were connecting with to kind of look for properties while you had your property on the market?
Yeah, we have a realtor down there. She was kind of pushing that we should probably sell first before we start looking down there, because she wants us to be like familiar with the area and possibly do like a 6-month or year rental in one of the communities we were looking in, because she mentioned that we should probably not, buy before we actually know what we're getting into.
Okay.
But yeah, how about this? What's your commission structure?
Oh, well, you're just jumping straight to the point. I would love to share that with you. That's something that I go over more in person, just so that I can kind of show you the value that I bring with the commission. It's never usually a problem though when I work with people. Is there a particular commission structure that you're interested in doing?
Our current realtor was giving us around 4.5%. Is that something that you think would be doable for you?
Oh, wow. Is that total just for the listing agent, or is that including, were you paying a buyer agent?
She didn't really bring that one up.
Okay. So I often hear, that people's realtors do a great job, and it never hurts to get a little bit more information, right? I'm curious if you could sit down with another realtor and just kind of go over some other marketing strategies and maybe kind of see what's the value of your property could be in this market. I'm sure you probably already got some of that information from your realtor. However, it never hurts to get more than one opinion and just kind of compare. And that way you just have more information. Do you find that that might be helpful for you?
Yeah, I'll probably run that by my wife. Is there any way that you could like shoot me an email with what you're thinking?
Yeah, I could definitely send you an email. What's your best email?
It's max123@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. Would it be okay? Are you typically available like on Tuesdays or Thursdays this week? I can get you penciled in. And then, if you chat with your wife and you guys decide that it doesn't work for you, we can always reschedule it.
Um, yeah, I think Thursday would work better for us.
Okay. And then are you typically available in the afternoons or the evenings?
Um, Probably evenings. We gotta on Thursday I gotta pick up my kid from basketball, so it'll
Okay.
probably be evening.
Okay. And when you say evening, are you saying like around 5 or like closer to 7?
Probably 7 if that's doable for you.
That is. I'm going to get together some information. You gave me your email address. I, honestly, I forgot what you just told me what your email was, but I
No,
would
it's all right.
verify it right now. And I'm going to send you over some information, and it'll have my contact information on there too, just so you can kind of check me out online. And I got you penciled in here for Thursday. You said at 7.
Yeah, yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll give you a call to verify the appointments the day before, and if you need to switch it around after talking to your wife, we can deal with that at that time. Do you mind if
Okay, that sounds
go ahead? What were you going to say?
no, it sounds like a plan.
Okay, perfect. And then just so I can make the best use of our time when we sit down together, I just have a few questions I want to ask you about your property, just so I don't waste any of your time and give you the most accurate information. Okay?
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that works.
And then I would just do the pre-call.
Understandable. Yeah.
So I'm done.
Yeah, how'd you feel that went?
I don't know. Feel a little nervous. So I'm like, I feel like I wouldn't be as nervous on the phone.
No, that's cool. Nerves mean you're doing something important.
Because I have people watching me, like, so I always get nervous when I feel like I'm on stage.
Yeah, I mean you are with a significant audience, so that took a lot of guts. That's cool. I don't know if somebody wants to jump into the next role play or
You have any feedback for her, Max?
um I have script practice with her like rotating and she's getting way better and I can tell that, being on stage right now with this many people watching has an effect. Absolutely. Um and it's, we're all at different stages of climbing the mountain and I'm just happy that she's climbing. She's putting in progress.
Thanks, Matt.
I love it. So, I would say great job asking questions. Here's the only feedback I would say. There's very little repeating and approving and softening up the questions. You're very direct, and I love that about you. I think with similar personalities, they're going to love that as well too. I think when the personality is different, there's going to be some versatility about softening up some questions. Um, it almost like if you notice, uh, it almost feels a little bit like an interrogation, just because there's very little like good for you, congratulations. How do you feel about that? It's like question, 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 close. That would be
Yeah.
the biggest piece of feedback that I think if you can mix it in there with good for you, like congratulations. Like, how do you feel about that? Is that exciting for you? I think that will soften it up a little bit, and I think it'll help you with different personalities, because I have a feeling with drivers, you're like,
So it's interesting that you say that. I think it's because I'm nervous right now, but typically when I'm on the phones with people, it's very conversational and
I
engaging.
love it.
They tend to open up very quickly. Like I tend to be more like a counselor on the phone.
I
Uh,
love that.
so, but I will say sometimes I can be very direct, and people are like, but for the most part, people don't say like, oh, that's none of your business. Like most of the time, they like just tell me. So I'm like, all right.
Okay, awesome.
But thank you for the
Any
feedback.
other feedback for
Yeah, I have some feedback. I just heard a lot of uncertainty in your voice. The questions.
Yeah, I'm nervous right now.
Yeah, and I could tell after you said you're nervous.
I
That's
was
what I
like,
figured.
why is my voice shaking? I felt like,
Yeah, and just the upswings, I would just be conscious of that. But yeah, if you're nervous, it makes sense.
yeah, I'll get over it. I have like it's weird anxiety, like getting on stage, like with people like watching me. I don't know why. I think it was in high school. I was actually in a play and I forgot my lines. And like ever since then, it's like the idea of like all these eyeballs looking at you and you don't know what to say is the worst feeling.
Sure.
That's a great way to overcome it, to come on here. Great job.
Yeah.
Jose, can we role play probate?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Just so I know, have you received your letters yet or not? Usually I would know that.
You know that before they call.
Yeah,
Let's
usually
say that,
or not, or like yeah, you've been appointed the personal representative yet.
let's say that I have already.
You've already been appointed. Okay. Ring ring.
Hello.
Hello, I'm looking for Jose Morales.
Yes, this is him. Who's this?
Hi, Jose. This is Mario Marquez. Respectfully giving you a call in regards to the John Doe estate.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason for the call, Jose, I'm a local realtor here in Burbank who specializes in probate transactions, and notice that very shortly, if not already, you'll be appointed the administrator of the estate. And this may be premature, but was respectfully reaching out to see if you and the family might be considering selling the real property at some point.
To be honest, we're really not sure yet at this point. We're in that deciding process of trying to figure out what to do.
Okay, and I appreciate you sharing that, Jose. That's normal. It's not uncommon. I know there's a lot going on right now, and actually, first and foremost, I just want to give you my condolences. I know it's a difficult time, to say the least. That being said, Jose, something that we found is pretty helpful when kind of deciding what you want to do with the property, if it's to sell, if it's to keep. Sometimes when you know realistically what you can get for the property in the current condition and even in the current market, it's really helpful in the decision making. Do you think if you knew what you can get for the home, that would help you and the family?
Yeah, I would say that would be helpful. But to be quite honest, I think we already looked online. So unless it's kind of different than like the Zillow value or the realtor.com value.
Right. No, and I appreciate you sharing that. What's interesting about that is that if you've noticed, you go to Realtor and you go to Zillow, they each give you different values. Did you notice that?
Yeah, they're all somewhat in the same range, though. Like, I mean, it's not like terribly off. It's like one of them says 800, the other one says 760, So it kind of gives me somewhat of an idea of of what the value is. But yeah, I can keep your information, and then obviously if we need it, then we're happy to connect with you. I do have to be honest with you, like there's a lot of people calling me, all like wanting to offer me different solutions. Like some people are telling me cash offers, some people are telling me like they'll list it, some people are saying they'll list it at a lower fee.
Right. That totally makes sense, Jose. And I know you have a lot coming at you right now, so it's probably a little challenging, figuring out or discerning what's the right route for you. And if you don't mind me asking, there's two options that we normally see, beneficiaries and personal representatives go with. The first offer, like you kind of mentioned, would be a cash offer, maybe from an investor. The second option would be going on the market and getting the most that a buyer is willing to pay. Of those two options, if you were to sell, do you have an idea of what you would be leaning towards?
I would say I'm open to it. Like I'm kind of open to both of them. Like obviously like the cash offer is like really appealing to me just because it's simple and it'll be done. But then again, I've heard rumors that um that the cash people always come in like super low, and that they want to like lowball you and that sort of thing.
Right, right. No, and that makes sense. It sounds like both of those options are still on the table, and I have to agree with you. You're absolutely right. Like there's some benefits to getting cash where it is quicker, it's less of a headache, but at the same time, investors are investors for a reason. They're in it to make money. So it sounds like you would maybe want some information regarding both of those, like cash route and going on the market route, and see what that would play out. Would that be a fair statement to say, or correct?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah. Okay. I know
so.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of beneficiaries normally in these situations, Jose. So if you don't mind me asking, you know, how do the other beneficiaries maybe feel about selling the property, or do they have any, have they kind of given you any sort of answer with regards to that?
No, I think that's what we're trying to figure out.
Mhm.
There's mixed opinions on it. Some of them want to sell, some of them want to keep.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I know I didn't really directly ask you, but it sounds like you're more leaning towards selling personally. Is that
Oh
correct?
yeah. 100%.
Okay. So you're selling. How many other beneficiaries are there? If you don't mind me asking.
I'd probably say there's seven,
Seven,
and
you guys.
five of
Okay.
them want to sell, and then two of them don't, basically.
Sheesh. Okay. And wow. So I know the courts here in Los Angeles County don't just give out letters to anybody, Jose. And being that there's seven of you and you were awarded the administrator, that really says something. And I can imagine being in your position with, some of them wanting to do something and some of them not wanting to do something with the property. So I just want to commend you there. Um, Here's my next question, Jose. Being that there's seven of you, most of it sounds like a good portion want to sell. The ones that don't want to sell, do you know what their plan would be in the event that you folks decided to keep the property, since there is seven of you?
Um, well, I mean, right now, what they're exploring the option of buying us out. But to be quite honest, I mean, the two that want to keep it are the ones in the worst financial position. So I
Mm,
don't think that they're going to be able to keep it. So
mm,
I'm pretty confident we're going to need to sell the property.
gotcha. Okay, so it sounds like they're exploring it, but realistically, it's most likely going to get sold because they probably can't keep the property. If we're being transparent.
100%.
Gotcha. Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, I know that these things, sometimes people take their sweet time kind of doing things. um, how much time do you plan on maybe giving it to explore the option of keeping it before you maybe decide that you're gonna do something and sell this property?
Um, I think just as soon as they tell us that they can't qualify,
Mm,
that's when we'll basically, yeah, that's when we'll make the decision.
okay. Okay. And if you do know if they're working with like a lender right now, because I'm aware that it's a little challenging when it comes to doing like a cash out or any sort of like refinance during probate versus maybe doing something after probate.
No, I I'm not sure if they're working with the lender at all. Um,
Mm,
I'm not to be honest, I'm not really 100% sure on that.
okay. May I make a recommendation, Jose?
Sure.
So based on what you've been kind enough to share with me, I'm hearing a few things really clearly. Number one is that more than likely this property is going to be sold at some point, whether it's now or later. It's just a matter of when and who you decide to work with. Number two, that the more information you have with regards to the cash offer, or if you guys go on the market, that information would also be helpful in the decision making process. And then the last thing that would also be helpful, if you knew or you could share this information maybe with the siblings that are thinking of keeping it, is what it would look like to realistically refinance this property in the current market, and kind of show maybe those other siblings, or get an answer to see if they actually can make this happen during the process. And that way, when you gather all that information, you and the rest of you, the 6 other beneficiaries, can make the best decision for you and your family. Do you think that would be helpful if you knew all that?
Yeah, that actually would.
Okay. I appreciate that, sharing that. Now, what I'd like to do then, Jose, is maybe schedule a 15-minute phone or even like Zoom appointment where we can kind of see each other and I can put some information on the screen and we can kind of go over. We could either do it with you and I just to start, or we can maybe include the other siblings just so you don't have to like repeat that information to them. I'm looking at my calendar here. If we were to connect via Zoom, are you normally available in the evenings or are afternoons good for you?
I'd probably say the afternoons would probably be better for me.
Afternoons, okay. And for you, afternoons is that like 2 p.m. or 4 p.m.?
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Perfect. Okay, I know today is a Wednesday, so today might be a little ambitious. Would you be free maybe tomorrow at 4 p.m. or is Friday better for you?
Probably Friday would probably be better for me.
Okay, let's do that then. I'm going to pencil you in for Friday. And what we're going to do is between now and then, my team and I are going to do some research on your property. And Friday morning, my assistant will call just to confirm that appointment. Now, before we actually connect, Jose, I just have a couple of quick questions to ask you just to make sure I'm fully prepared and could provide you with the best information. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Boom. Great job.
Boom. Thank you.
I think the door opened up when I went the cash route.
Okay.
And I think you did well by asking me if I had any preference. Be like, just out of curiosity, do you have any preference? Like, which one do you prefer? And I think that opened it up. I think shortly after that, you could have closed right after I basically said, right after I said, like, hey, look, like, it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to keep it. I think right after that would have been like, okay, great. Like, and then handled the remaining items in the prequel basically after that, you know?
Okay.
So obviously they have a prequel for a reason. I think that the opening was there where it could have been, but still, I mean, you collected more information, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
Good empathy, good tonality, good rate of speech, good like flattery as well too, like complimenting the people. The only like I would probably say critique, like and I don't know this, like at the beginning you asked me if I was already appointed or not, and then in the script you're like you're gonna shortly appointed potentially, you know? Like,
Right.
I don't know if you changed that up whenever you know that they're appointed already, or if you kind of just say it that way, just out of courtesy, like not like, hey, look, I know every detail in the file already, you know? So that would be like that I kind of caught.
What would you recommend? Do you recommend that we just assume that they're, because I could see here, like, you know, they had their court date. Like, let's just say today's October 30th. It looks like they had their court date the 25th. From my information, you know, they should have been appointed, but sometimes they haven't been. That's why I
so
kind
just
of
keep
still
it
leave
that
it
way.
open. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
keep
would
it
say
open.
just leaving it open. I think even if you know, like, I'm sure that they'll tell you basically, you know?
Okay, and if they don't tell me that, should I just ask?
I would ask it potentially in this scenario, probably in the prequel, like, hey, before we get together, there's a number of questions. Great, I know timing is important. What's an ideal time frame? Like, if you guys can figure out this thing, if there's going to be a buyout in the next week or two, would that be ideal for you? You know, if you did receive an offer, what would your expectations of the offer be, or whatever? You know, so just pre-qualifying after that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think you've been practicing, bro, which is good. I was gonna say, you sound like a lot better from what I remember. Like more polished, basically. So
I appreciate it. It's a big compliment. Thank you. I've been working hard.
Have you been practicing or no?
Yeah, dude, I've been role playing like twice a day with everybody who knows probate, Ilya, every single person in our elite builders.
And
Yeah.
has it been helpful for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been really helpful. It's been really helpful. So
You fought it for a long
I did.
time, bro. Like for a
I
long
did. You're
time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the push because you've been the one pushing me on working on my skills. So thanks, Jose.
Yeah. There's different levels to it, you know. There's like good, great, you know, expert, you know, and then there's the level. But I think the more you continue to push on that, and I'll tell you guys how you know if you're good or not. It depends on your production, you know. Your production will show whenever you're really good. Because sometimes people are like, "Oh, I'm really good on the telephones," yet their production doesn't show it. So if once your production starts to show it, a lot of it is correlated with either believing that you can do it, like meaning like self-belief, or it has to do with like skill improvement, which skill improvement will lead to higher self-belief.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Great job. Any additional feedback for Mario, guys?
I thought that your tone was great. You sounded really empathetic. Yeah, I think
Thank
you're
you.
actually probably an empathetic person, and it just like right, like it just sounds natural. It sounds like part of you. Seems like
I've been working on it. Yeah, I've been working on it. Yeah.
I was gonna say I know Mario. I don't think he I think that he's been working on the empathetic side, to be quite honest.
really.
Yeah, I've been working on
It
it.
sounds
Yeah,
totally natural. So
I appreciate it.
I was gonna say the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
What else, guys?
All right, let me run one.
You want to pick it up, Mario, with Bahati?
Yeah. What would you like to do? Bahati would kind of call.
Let's do expired.
Okay, old one, new one.
We'll do new.
Okay. What time is this at?
This is at like 9:39.
Okay.
So you've
Sounds
already
good.
Yeah. All right. Ring.
Hello.
Yeah, Mario?
Hello, who's this?
Mario, hey, good morning. This is Bahati. I was calling about your property on 123 Main Street.
Yeah, appreciate the call, man. We already have an agent. It should be going back on the market sometime like after the election. I would say like maybe in December time. My agent's name is Diana Serrano.
Diana Serrano?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll make a note of that on my end. And since I do have you on the phone, it sounds like you definitely are still going to sell this. You're just pushing it out a couple of months. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, not right now. Like, we're just gonna kind of wait until the election's over. We've taken it off right now. You know, we're doing a few things to the property. So back, like, you know, I would say like, I don't know. It depends. If we finish the work that we're doing to it, we'll be on like in the beginning of December. If not, we might just wait till like after the new year.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are starting to make some adjustments to make sure that this time around you guys don't experience what you guys experienced in the last 6 months. Does that sound about right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. So I'll make a note of that. I'll be looking out for it. You know, and I am curious, since I do have you on the phone, the property is beautiful. It's in a great area. I'm actually very familiar with this area since we do a lot of here. What's the reason that you guys are even thinking about selling this and getting rid of it?
Gavin Newsom. I'm just tired of him, man. He's just the worst governor we've ever seen in this country. It's like, you know, like crime is crazy.
Yeah.
And, we're just sick of California, man. I mean, good luck to you if you're staying here.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, I'm helping a lot of clients right now that are actually in the same boat as you. So I can completely understand the reason for that move. It can be really frustrating, you know, with what's going on here in LA. You know, and I'm interested. Where are you going to? A lot of my clients are moving towards like Texas, Florida, you know, even Idaho. I've been getting a lot of Idaho. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, we're going to Florida. We're going to, you know, Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. And then how soon would you like to be there?
Well, we're kind of like back and forth right now. We actually already have a property over there. So, you know, we've been spending like most of our time over there, like over the past couple of years. So we've just decided now, like since my wife works remotely now, we can move over there. So yeah, that's kind of the situation. But it's, two mortgages is killing me. So
Yeah, so you definitely want to get rid of this as soon as possible, or else it's pretty much a financial burden. Does that sound about right?
correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so it sounds like you definitely still want to make this happen. You're in the middle of a couple of different things to adjust the process. I guess I'm curious if there was a way to get this done and get this property and this mortgage off your shoulders sooner than later. Would that be something that you'd definitely be, I mean, I guess would be opposed to looking into?
I mean, I'm not done with the work yet, but I mean, if you have a buyer right now that's like, willing to kind of take it as it, was the first time, I think I'd be open to that.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'll definitely take a look at that and see who I can have that would be available to see that and would be interested. When would be a good time to stop by and take a look at it and take a preview?
Yeah. If you want to write down my agent's number, Diana, so 951
Yeah.
555-2331. She'll probably, give you some information. And then if you want to stop by, like I'd say arrange it with her, because I'm kind of busy right now.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll make a note of that and I'll let you go right now. You know what's really interesting. Can I ask you a question, Mario?
Sure.
Yeah, I find it really rare when I come across these situations where a client has been on the market for 6 months and then they decide to relist with the same agent. I guess, were you happy with the results that Diana was able to provide for you in the last 6 months?
I mean, it's just a tough time. I'm sure like with the market and stuff, like it's just been, I've talked to some of my other friends and they told me about how when they were selling in like 2021, how their house was just flying off the market, off the shelf, So I just think it was the market. She did a good job.
Yeah, Mario, and I can understand why you would feel that that's the case right now. And to be honest with you, you sound like a straightforward guy. I'm the same way. So to be completely honest with you, do you know how many properties have sold in the last 6 months in the price point of $1 million to $2 million?
No, I don't.
There's actually a total of 7 properties that sold in the last 6 months. So the question isn't really whether homeowners or buyers and sellers are selling property. The real question is why they're not choosing yours. So that's why I'm curious, very interested in knowing a little bit more about the thought process behind you relisting with the same agent. Sounds like you have a good relationship, but at the end of the day, what's more important to you? Is it the relationship or making sure that you get results and you get this mortgage off of your shoulders?
I really want to get the mortgage off my shoulders. Yeah, that's. I mean, she's a good agent. Same time, if someone has like an offer and they'd be willing to like pay us, I'd be willing to listen.
Yeah, and just by you saying that, Mario, it really just demonstrates that it definitely would be worth getting a second opinion and second, I guess, strategy and approach as far as how you can done sooner than later, as I said earlier. So, may I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So what I would suggest, I'd love to stop by, take a look at the property, get really familiar with what it has to offer, even though you're not finished with it yet. And then I for a couple of things. Number one, show you exactly why it didn't sell in the first place in the first 6 months on the other 7 properties that sold in that price point. That would be number 2 would be, I would show you exactly what you need to do to ensure that you can sell it and get rid of it sooner than later. And number 3, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And this way, Mario, you will be able to know what options you have at your disposal and what would be the best decision for you and your family. Does that sound fair enough?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay, perfect. So under normal conditions, are you guys usually available in the afternoons or in the evenings?
We're normally available in the evenings. I just got to kind of run it by my wife to see if, what she would say.
Yeah, definitely. So why don't you do that? And then you said that you're usually available in the evenings. Let's schedule for 6 o'clock tomorrow. And, now I can definitely hear in your voice that you obviously want to get this done.
Yes.
What's your wife's thought process with making this move and getting rid of this property?
She also wants to sell it. The thing is that her and Diana like are friends. They go to lunch together and stuff. So
Yeah, so there's
that's the only thing.
personal relationship there, right? And the last thing you want to do is to get in between that and cause them to have some friction. So what I'll include as part of the strategy and the plan is an accommodating way where we can all work together, can all be happy. And then that way I'll be very clear with what that would look like. And this way you guys can get the best of both worlds. Does that sound good?
All right. I mean, couldn't hurt. So yeah, let's try it.
Second opinion. So I'll pencil you in for 6 o'clock tomorrow. We'll go through that very clearly. And then at the end of the day, it's your guys' property. It's your guys' decision. So you guys will ultimately be the ones that decide what option you're going to go with next. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Sound good.
Sounds good.
Mario, and I need the email for the calendar invite. What's the best email for you?
Mario@gmail.com.
Mario@gmail.com. Okay, perfect. I'll send that over to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Good? What do you guys think?
I thought it was great. I have a fast question for you though. When you guys get at the very start, he said that he was putting it back on the market right after the election. So I guess what happens if they had a listing agreement? So wouldn't you want to ask that right away? Be like, have you signed a listing agreement with your agent to relist it? Like, are you going to be relisting it, like November 5th or you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good question to ask. I definitely don't
because if
see.
you went that whole conversation, only, you know what I mean? You're trying to set this appointment, but they've already signed a listing agreement, then isn't that, I mean, I know in Oregon where I'm at, that's really not, it's unethical basically.
Yeah, they could still technically be under contract. I guess for this role play sake, we'll just assume that it wasn't. But yeah, I think it would be definitely a good question.
So even here, let's say that they say I'm going to be putting it back on the market with the same realtor. I'd probably go into well, look, if there was a different marketing approach at that time, is that something that you would be open to? A lot of times, the way that I look at it is if they're under contract with the realtor, they're going to let me know. And I feel like if somebody says I have an agent, if your first question out of your mouth is, do you have a contract with them? I think that there's a good chance that about 25 to 30% of the time, people that don't have a contract are going to tell you that they have a contract. And if they do, then the conversation is completely over at that time.
I guess a lot of the people I talk to are older and they just seem like they're really slow. And a lot of people don't realize that when they sign a listing contract, that's I don't know. Sometimes I wouldn't come out and just be like, oh, do you have a contract? I would be like, oh, do you have an agreement in place for when you're going to be putting it back on the market? I would approach it more like, oh, maybe I'll have a buyer for you or something like that. And then just to find out if there's an opening there, you know what I mean? I would just go through the whole conversation only to find out if they had an agreement in place.
I think I see it a lot with I think the approach you're saying is good. The approach I want to shy people away from is that somebody says, "Hey, I have an agent," and the very first thing out of their mouth, this is their objection handler. Do you have a contract signed with that agent? And if that's the objection handler, you're going to get bullshitted 20 to 30% of the time, maybe even higher with people who don't actually have a contract that say that they have a contract just to get you off the phone, especially if it's very early on in the conversation.
That makes sense.
But if you say, let's say somebody tells me hey, look, I'm actually going to be relisting with the same agent after the election. Got it. Hey, Jose, it's really, really rare that somebody with a home as nice as yours that they relist with the same agent. Let me ask you this. Were you happy with the level of offers you were receiving on the home? No, I wasn't. Wait. You said you weren't happy. Do you see how and then at that point they might say, no, you know what? I've already signed something. Boom. Done. Conversation's over. We're not suggesting you guys basically do anything unethical in any way, shape, or form. The conversation's done at that point, But a lot of times what I find is that people will tell me that won't be my go-to objection, because I notice it even at open houses. Very first question, have you signed a contract? And I'm just like, dude, 30% of the people are going to bullshit you, And then the conversation is done, completely done.
That's a
Because
good
after
point.
that, it's done. Yeah.
So, Jose, I have a question for you. When it came up at the beginning, I decided to not like talk about it at that point. I kind of
Yeah.
just
I think it was smart.
okay.
I think it was smart. Yeah. I think part of it too, Bahati, is knowing when to handle certain objections and when to just like kind of like brush them off. A lot of times I think people feel the need to, whenever they get an objection, that they have to handle it no matter what. And that's not true. So I think that what you did about bypassing it was actually good. And then just and then when it came up again, then you handled it again. Then you handled it at that point, you know?
Yeah. And then my second question is the common feedback that I get in my role plays is I talk my pace is really fast. So could you give me some help or advice with that, with my pace?
I would just say whenever you notice it, even if it's in the middle of a role play, slow down. Because sometimes you won't notice it, but you'll notice it at some point. So whenever you notice it, be like, oh shit. Because at the very beginning, I did something very similar where whenever I'd be speaking to people, I'd be speaking like really fast. And it was just like because I was nervous. You see how I just did it? If I were to notice it, I would basically catch myself and then slow down in that moment, basically.
So in my head, I have this thought of, because expires, I mean, they're constantly hanging up on you. So in my head, it's like at any moment they're gonna hang up on me. What should be the different mindset that I should have when I go into these expires?
That you're the best solution for the job, and that if basically they did hang up on you, they're making a mistake because you've got the best options, the best solutions for them. So what I would say is I think that whatever you put out, that's what you'll get. So I think that the chances of them hanging up on you are higher if you're talking really fast because it almost makes them feel rushed and makes them feel like in a hurry, which increases the chances of them hanging up on you. So like I've had people that are like, look, Jose, like I got to get off the phone. I'll be like, yeah, I completely understand. Just had one really quick question for you. And then I ask the question, and then they end up talking to me for like 30 minutes after the fact. So I think that instead of thinking like, hey, look, I got to talk really fast for them not to hang up on me, is like, I got to get really good at how I communicate to the point where people don't want to hang up on me. Because if you can learn how to make conversations just more engaging by using your tonality, using your repeat and approve, using a little bit of flattery, using asking good questions, communicating in a way that people want to listen to you, it won't the whole. I've had people like, and this is when you'll start to see it, you're good. Be like, look, I've had 40 agents call me, and you're the only one that I talked to for 30 minutes. Something about you. They've never met you. They don't know what you look like, bro. They've never seen the goatee, never seen that. But for whatever reason, they feel really comfortable with you on the phone. That's the goal. And that's what's going to start to happen as you continue to practice. So just the moment you notice it, become aware and then slow down in that moment. And then I think chanting helps out a lot with that because in chanting, you can learn how to emphasize certain words. And I think that's what makes communication stronger. Like if it was all monotone, like, hi, my name is Bahati. I am a local realtor. I work with Ed Kaminsky Group, blah, blah, blah. You see how it's like not engaging whatsoever. Look at radio broadcasters. Look at TV announcers. You're going to notice that they have variations in their voice. They emphasize certain words. And it's a lot more engaging when you do it that way. That makes sense? They're not sitting on that side of the TV like, hey, look, like the person receiving this message is probably in a hurry. So let me speak really fast to get as much information as I possibly can. They're more or less like, hey, like let me be engaging. I think that's more of the goal than, hey, let me speak really fast. So just moment you catch yourself, slow down.
Okay.
Best
Thank
advice.
you. Yep.
Cool, guys. I think it's over. Hope everybody is well. Aaron Novello's at EXPCon. So
I'll be taking over his Wednesday call today. So peace out, guys. Appreciate you guys, and later.